You know, there's a hidden crisis brewing in the world of AI that most leaders are completely, and I mean completely, unaware of. You've probably deployed AI agents to make your business faster, smarter, more efficient. But what if I told you that you might have also armed a ticking time bomb without even knowing it? Okay, let's dive into this and figure out how to defuse it. Here it is. This is the number that should be keeping every CISO up at night. Last year, a staggering 88% of organizations using AI agents reported a security incident. And look, we're not talking about a model hallucinating a funny poem here. We're talking about agents taking real actions in the real world, actions they were never, ever supposed to take. And this is where the disconnect gets just wild. On one hand, you've got 82% of executives believing their AI is well protected. They feel good about it. But the reality? Only 21% of their teams have any real visibility into what their agents are actually doing. That's a 61-point gap between feeling safe and, well, being completely blind.
So this begs a really critical question, right? If the large language models themselves are getting smarter and more capable literally every single day, what is actually breaking? Because it's not a model problem, it's a process problem.
The answer, it turns out, isn't how we think about security itself. For decades, security has been all about one thing, the access layer, right? It's all about controlling who can use what. Can this person see this database? But AI agents introduce this brand new, tricky challenge, the execution layer. The real danger isn't that the agent has access, it's what it does with that access once it's in.
Think about it like this. An agent reads some data, it makes a decision, and then it takes an action. It's right there in that final step, that leap from thinking to doing, where everything can go wrong. There's no firewall, no checkpoint, no governance between the agent's thought and its action. And that's the blind spot.
And this blind spot, well, it leads to 4 very distinct and pretty disastrous failure mods. And these aren't just theories, by the way. These are happening right now, pulled from real-world incident data.
Okay, first up, partial logic. This is where you give an agent what seems like a simple task. It answers the question you asked, but not the one you should have asked. For example, imagine a hospital asks an AI agent a simple, direct question. Is this patient ready to go home? The agent checks the patient's temperature. It's normal. Great. So it says yes. But in doing that, it completely ignores all the other critical business rules. Things like, is the blood pressure stable? Did a doctor actually review the lab results? Is there a care plan? The agent was technically correct, but contextually it was catastrophic. And what happens? The patient is readmitted just 2 days later. Next up, failure number 2, privilege escalation. This is when an agent uses its broad permissions super efficiently, but in the completely wrong direction. An engineer asks an agent to do some routine maintenance. Hey, clean up the staging database. Simple enough. So the agent connects with admin credentials, it finds everything with the word staging in the name, and boom, promptly deletes it all. The problem? 3 of those were critical production tables that just happened to have staging in their naming convention. The result? A 6-hour production outage. Ouch. Then you have number 3, compliance blindness. This is where the agent is fantastic at executing a task, but it has zero, and I mean zero, concept of regulatory rules. Let's say an agent is told to process a simple international wire transfer. So it checks the sender's balance, yep, money's there. It confirms the recipient details, all correct. On the surface, it all looks fine. But the agent is completely blind to 2 critical facts. It blows right past the rule that any transfer over 10 grand needs a compliance review, and it totally misses that the recipient's country is on a sanctions watch list. This isn't just an error anymore, it's a major regulatory violation. And finally, the 4th failure, cross-system blindness. This is what happens when 2 AI agents inside the same company make totally contradictory decisions because they can't see what the other one is doing. So, Agent A in the fraud department flags a customer for suspicious activity. At the exact same time, Agent B over in loan processing approves a $250,000 loan for that very same customer. Yikes! So here's the crucial point. All 4 of these failures, they all stem from the exact same root cause, the total lack of a validation layer. And that brings us to the solution, a completely new type of security called an Ontology Firewall. I want you to think of it just like a network firewall, but for your business logic. It's a checkpoint. It sits right between the agent's decision and its final action. So before the agent can actually do anything, the firewall checks its proposed action against a formal, encoded model of all your business rules, your policies, your constraints, the whole shebang. So back in our hospital example, the agent tries to discharge the patient.
The firewall intercepts that request and immediately sees that, nope, two mandatory criteria, the lab results and the doctor's sign-off, are missing. The action is instantly blocked and the reason is logged. This is the safety net. This is what prevents disaster.
Now, this isn't just some techie fix. This is a fundamental business priority. And if you don't believe me, let's just look at the cold, hard numbers. The average cost of a single AI agent security breach is $670,000. Think about that. That's the price tag for one agent going rogue one time. Okay, now contrast that number with this one. The total first-year cost of implementing an Ontology Firewall solution, $25,000. Let that sink in. You prevent one incident, and the system pays for itself more than 20 times over. With an 88% incident rate, the math is, well, it's undeniable.
And beyond the cost, there's the compliance argument. When an agent inevitably breaks a rule, and it will, a regulator is going to come knocking, and they're going to ask what governance you had in place. We trained the model really well is not going to cut it as an answer. But showing them an audit log from a firewall that blocked 23 non-compliant actions last month, now that is a conversation you want to be having.
So, what can you do about this right now? Today, let's talk about the first practical steps every single organization should be taking. If you already have agents running in production, you need to audit their permissions immediately, like right now. Find out what they can actually do. Then, map out your most critical business rules and just deploy a firewall on a single high-risk process to start. And if you're still in the planning phase, perfect. Solve governance first. The whole move fast and break things era is over. For AI agents, the new motto has to be move safely and build things that last.
And that brings us to our final thought. As these agents become more and more autonomous, we have to ask a really foundational question. When an AI agent violates a regulation or breaks the law, who's liable? Is it the company that deployed it, the vendor who built the model, the engineer who wrote the rules? That's the conversation we all need to be having next.